If you've ever done an outside portrait session, taken a picture and thought, it's good, but nothing special, I'm going to show you how to improve the lighting really quickly with flash. To help me out today, I've got the amazing Chloe. Chloe's going to be the model for this photo session, but before we get to the photography, let's think about the location. I'm out of the studio, I'm on location, but why here? Well, there are three reasons this spot works really well today. The first one is the background. It is interesting, it's got some texture. I am going to blur it out of focus, which brings me on to the second thing. It is a long way away. The further away your background, the more blurry it will become at any given aperture. And then finally, Chloe is in shade. Now this is super important because if she was in full sun, she'd be a bit warmer. That's definitely a thing that's worth considering. But also from a photography point of view, it'd be much harder to get our own creative lighting on Chloe. So shade is your friend. Of course, we could just take a test photo like this in aperture priority mode. It will certainly give us a benchmark for something to try against. And wide open, or very nearly on my lens, we get a picture that looks like this. It's perfectly okay, but it lacks control of the light. This is a speedlight. It's probably the smallest and most portable flash you can get your hands on, and it is brilliant. Now, there are a couple of ways we could do this. The first one is to put the flash directly on the camera. On camera flash. Now, before I take any pictures, I'm going to change a couple of things. I'm going to switch to manual mode, so I've got control of all of my settings, and then I'm going to dial in some settings that are a little different to what the camera recommended. So I'm going to look at the scene, I'm going to put an aperture that's wide open, or very nearly in my case, and then I'm going to adjust my shutter speed until it says about 1 stop underexposed. Now, if I take a picture without flash, it's going to look like this. And then I'm going to adjust my shutter speed until it tells me 2 stops underexposed. I'll take a picture like this. The aim of these tests is to set the brightness of just the background. And usually 1 to 2 stops is around about the right zone, but you choose which works best. But what you're not doing is setting the brightness of your model. You set that from your flash. Now you could use TTL flash, or you can do manual flash, which is the way I prefer to work. So I've dialed my flash into half power. I'm going to take a test photo and see whether Chloe looks bright enough. Okay, here we go, quick little test photo. And the short answer is it works. So your shutter speed and your aperture and your ISO are set to expose the background, and then you set your flash to fill in the shadows. That's how it works with flash, except this isn't the kind of flash I like. I like to do off-camera flash, and it's really easy to set up. You need a few bits of extra kit, so let me walk you through them. The first one is something to hold your flash. This is called an S bracket, and it attaches to a light stand, which you're probably going to need. At the bottom, optional extra, highly recommended, a sandbag. And then finally, you need a transmitter that goes on your camera. Now, you need the right transmitter for your particular brand of flash. I'm using Flashpoint, which means there is a whole range of options, and you'll find gear links in the video description down below. To maintain that fast shutter speed I set earlier, all I have to do is press the high-speed sync button, which is as easy as pressing a button that says sync. I need to change my speedlight so it's ready to receive the radio signal from the transmitter, and I've got it in the same group and channel as my transmitter. Once those are done, it's pretty much easy as putting your flash somewhere near your subject, pointing it at Chloe like that. I've adjusted the flash power a little bit, which I can do from the transmitter to take into account the change in distance, and now I get a picture that looks like this. And that gives me more direction to the light, which basically means we have a lit side of Chloe and a shadow side of Chloe. But those shadows, well, they're not exactly flattering, they're quite harsh. So let's fix that with a softbox. The name kind of gives the clue away, really, doesn't it? This is definitely going to soften the light. The way it works is it attaches to that S bracket I mentioned earlier. Always put your flash on your softbox. Don't try and put your softbox on the flash, it will take you forever, you won't get there. And now we have a much larger light source than we had before. The bigger the size of your light, relative to your subject, the softer the shadows will be. But how high should this light be? Well, my advice is, if you can see your subject, hi Chloe, just underneath it, then you've got it at the right height. Now this will change the power I need to set on my flash. I could use a flash meter, but to keep it simple today, I'm just going to take a test picture at the same settings and review what we've got. Now remember, that is a closer light than it was before. I did that on purpose. The closer you get it, the softer the light becomes. So in theory, it should be brighter, but now it has to pass through layers of diffusion from the softbox, so it's not quite bright enough. So I'm going to move the light a little tiny bit closer. I'm also going to take the flash power up to 1/4 power, and now we get this. And that to me feels like a nice balance between the amount of illumination we have on Chloe and the brightness of the background. And it doesn't feel too flashy, which is what we're trying to avoid with off-camera flash. We want it to look like natural light, even though it's actually not. And that is this setup done. It's as simple as sorting the exposure for your background first and then adding light to illuminate your subject. Chloe, are you ready? Let's take a few photos like this. Here we go. The table in this shot is actually doing 3 things. Obviously it's there so Chloe can lean against it and that helps with the modelling, but it's also acting as a bit of a reflector, bouncing warm light back underneath and filling the shadows under her chin. But mostly it's there so I have a fixed distance between the light and my model, and that just makes this whole thing much easier because if the distance changes, I'd have to recalculate the flash exposure. And just to add a little bit of a mix to the look, I've given Chloe a prop. In this case, it is a book, because that kind of fits in with the table. It's a red tone, and of course, it adds a little bit to the story. Yeah, pun intended. Off-camera flash doesn't have to be complicated, and if you're using a speedlight, it doesn't have to be big, bulky equipment. You can do an awful lot with a relatively small flash. Now, if you've enjoyed this video or you've got any questions, go down below and give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment. Of course, if you haven't already done so, you should definitely click on that subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.